If you have never peeled your bare thigh off a bonded leather sectional in the middle of a Pennsylvania July, like a grilled cheese sandwich coming off a cast iron skillet, you don't know suffering. You just don't. And if you've never heard your central air conditioner cough, wheeze, and die like an asthmatic lawnmower choking on gravel, you don't know the kind of panic that makes a grown man bargain with God over Freon. 3 days ago, I was a normal, law-abiding citizen. Today, I am public enemy number one of the Oak Creek Estates Homeowners Association. And honestly, I regret nothing. It started on a Tuesday, 98 degrees on the porch thermometer, humidity thick enough to chew. The air didn't feel hot. It felt personal. It pressed on your chest like it had a grudge. I was working from home, shirt already sticking to my back, when the AC made that sound, metal clattering, a dying wheeze, then silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that lets you hear your own pulse in your ears. I stood there holding my breath, like maybe it was just cycling. Maybe it would kick back on. Maybe the HVAC gods would show mercy. Nothing. The thermostat screen was black. Outside, the condenser was smoking. Not metaphorically, actually smoking, like the ghost of my comfort rising into heaven. Mike, my HVAC guy, showed up sweating through his grease-stained shirt and gave me the diagnosis like a doctor telling you your dog won't make it. Compressor shot. Control board fried. 6 weeks for parts. Maybe 8. 6 weeks. Mike, I said, I will be jerky by then. He shrugged. Get a hotel. I have a 90-pound golden retriever whose stress eats drywall. Hotels were not an option. So I fought a mob of suburban dads at the hardware store for the last 12,000 BTU window unit, like it was the final lifeboat on the Titanic. Installed it myself, scraped knuckles, lost screws, swore words that would get me excommunicated, but when that thing roared to life and blasted cold air into my living room, I swear I almost cried. I dragged my chair right in front of it, cracked a beer, and thought, this is survival. I had 45 minutes of peace. Then came a knock. Not neighborly, not friendly, sharp, official, judgmental. I opened the door, and there she stood, Brenda, president of the Oak Creek Estates, HOA. Floral blazer, clipboard, hair that hasn't moved since 1998. David, she said, she always calls me David, like I'm in detention. She pointed past me at the window unit. That mechanical protrusion is in violation of Bylaw 14.2, Section C. It's an air conditioner, I said. It's 98 degrees. It is an eyesore, she corrected. She handed me a pink slip like it was a parking ticket from Satan. Remove it in 24 hours. $500 per day fine. Per day. I unplugged it that night. The house turned into a kiln. By dinner it was 90. My dog was vibrating on the tile like a broken washing machine. That's when the anger changed shape. It got quiet. Focused. I pulled out the HOA rulebook, 300 pages of beige oppression, and I read it like a man decoding enemy transmissions. And there it was. The word that mattered. Visible. No mechanical devices visible from the street or neighboring properties. Visible. You know what isn't visible? Underground. Geothermal. I didn't need a window unit. I needed to turn the earth itself into my condenser. Now geothermal systems aren't cheap. They're sell the boat. Expensive. But the heat does something to your brain. It makes revenge feel practical. I found a drilling company online that looked like it hadn't updated its website since Y2K. Black background. Yellow text. Flaming GIF logo. Deep Core Solutions. The guy who answered sounded like gravel arguing with a chainsaw. You got an HOA problem? He asked after I explained. Yes, I said. We hate HOAs, he replied, like it was a sacred oath. He arrived Saturday at 7 a.m. sharp with a rust-colored drilling rig that looked like it had fought in at least 2 wars. The operator, Barney, was built like a refrigerator with tattoos. No shirt. Cigar. Introduced himself by saying, "Call me Bedrock." We stood in my backyard looking at the common area. 50 feet of pristine HOA grass that Brenda treated like Versailles. The property line, on my survey, drawn with a thick marker from 1985. Ambiguous. Very ambiguous. Bedrock squinted at the map. If you say this is your land, he said, pointing a solid 25 feet into HOA territory, I drill. Drill, I said. And at 7:01 a.m., The earth shook. The rig roared like an angry god. The drill bit hit soil with a crunch that vibrated my teeth. Gray slurry erupted into the air and rained down over Brenda's award-winning petunias. By 8 a.m., the common area looked like a World War I reenactment. Brenda came sprinting across the grass in pink slippers and a silk robe, curlers bouncing, screaming like someone had set fire to her scrapbook collection. "What is this?" she shrieked. "Installing invisible infrastructure," I yelled over the diesel thunder. Mud splashed on her robe. I will never forget her face. Neighbors gathered, some horrified, some intrigued. Greg from behind the common area stomped over complaining his gazebo was getting splattered. I told him it was eco-friendly. He called the police. Police came. Officer Miller looked at the rig, looked at the mess, sighed like a man who's seen too much, and declared it a civil matter. Brenda tried everything: trespassing, water theft, emotional distress. Then the twist happened. Mrs. Higgins, 84 years old, sweetest woman alive, hobbled up with her cane. "Is that loud machine going to tear up Brenda's petunias?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," I said gently. She leaned in close and whispered, "Good. She fined me $50 for a bird feeder. Said the cardinal was too red." And she patted my arm. "You dig, David. I have never felt more morally justified in my life." The drilling escalated. We hit water. Ran out. The police made us disconnect from the hydrant. So I paid Mr. Henderson $700 to siphon his pool. Private transaction. Capitalism. By afternoon, we had drilled 100 holes. The common area looked like Swiss cheese dipped in cement. Then the HOA board showed up in loafers and cardigans and declared emergency sanctions. $10,000 fine. Cease immediately. We didn't stop. At 4:30 p.m., a lawyer arrived with a temporary restraining order. Cease excavation on HOA property. Here's the thing. By then we had drilled 180 holes. Pipes were in the ground. I looked at the lawyer, looked at Brenda, and I did something unexpected. I surrendered. "I made a mistake," I said. Mustard stain on the survey. Honest confusion. "They smell blood." "You will restore everything," the lawyer said. Of course, I agreed. Which means I must bury the pipes already installed to prevent soil destabilization. They blinked. "Leaving them underground is environmentally responsible," I continued. They agreed. That night, while they slept, we fused every loop, connected the manifold, trenched quietly with a mini electric excavator, hooked it into a monstrous basement heat pump. At midnight, bedrock flipped the breaker. The house exhaled. Cold air, deep, silent, Arctic cold, poured from the vents. By morning, my living room was 68 degrees. Brenda stood in the mud, trying to salvage a petunia. "Is it fixed?" she asked suspiciously. "All fixed," I said. She listened. No compressor hum. No window unit. "It's quiet," she said. "Invisible," I replied. She knew. Somewhere deep in her HOA-certified soul, she knew that beneath her manicured grass lay 180 silent pipes dumping my excess heat into the earth like a revenge-powered radiator. I paid the fine, hired landscapers, restored the surface. But under that approved blend of fescue and ryegrass, victory. Here's what I learned. Power doesn't always look like shouting or authority or pink violation slips. Sometimes power is reading the fine print. Sometimes it's understanding that rules written to control can also be navigated. And sometimes the quietest solutions are the ones nobody can touch. I'm not saying I was right. I'm saying I was hot. And when the system leaves you melting on a leather couch in 98 degrees while someone in a floral blazer quotes section C, you either bake or you drill. Now I sit in my freezing living room, wrapped in a hoodie in July, watching condensation form on my coffee mug. The house is silent. The grass is green. And somewhere underground, 180 holes hum with the quiet satisfaction of karma. So tell me, was I justified? Or did I become the villain I thought I was fighting? Where's the line between standing up for yourself and going full scorched earth? Literally. I want to know what you would have done. Would you have taken the fine and melted quietly? Or would you have dug? Drop your thoughts below, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that in a neighborhood ruled by bylaws, sometimes the only way to cool down is to heat things up first.